The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Thursday, the first day of February 2024. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy. I'm Jamal Hartman, and Maya Palacio will be with us in a bit to let us know what's trending in the news. Well, it's February 1st. We've completed 1 month of 2024 already. 31 days have gone past. And in tomorrow's episode, we'll probably discuss, as we reflect on the first month of 2024, how's our year going? What have we learned? What have we accomplished? What's popping with our goals for 2024? And for those who still make resolutions, how goes it? Are we sticking to them? 1 month already. Before you know it, cup match will be here and St. George's will have the cup again. Yeah, I said it. I couldn't help myself. I could not help myself. All right. Well, let's bring Maya in and see what's trending in the news. And we lost Maya for a couple of days, man. She went missing. I was calling around, called some jailhouses. You see it, it's what happens when people go missing. That's the first place you think with some people, right? But let's bring her in and see what she's got going. Hey, Ma, how you?
Why would you even say that about me?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Disrespect.
I was thinking of Larry. My apologies.
Well, good morning, everyone. In your highlights for today, Kalai Smith was sentenced to 11 years for blackmail and child pornography, and 2 persons were injured in a 2-vehicle collision, and 6 athletes have qualified for Carifta Games so far, and there's so much more in today's news break.
Maya, that first story just is bothersome to me, and I don't even want to know the details, but we have to, so looking forward to the news break.
Yes.
All right, see you in a few.
See you in a few.
All right, well, good morning to you, Tanya Cheeseman, and an awesome rainy Thursday to Jamal and Maya, says Suzanne Ingham, and happy Black History Month, says Headline Swan. Yeah, whatever. We're going to talk about Black history today. Suzanne Ingham says, I don't do resolutions, yes, go St. George's. And we've got a good morning, Maya, Tanya Cheeseman. Well, let's get into it. Headline Swan, our, favorite, one of our favorite audience members and TDH community members. She says, happy Black History Month. I put a post on my WhatsApp this morning, and the picture was of a young white boy and a young black boy, and they were walking next to each other, and the black boy was pulling a wagon that had books titled Black History. And the white guy says, I thought your people only celebrated in February. And the black boy says, no, that's for you all. We celebrate all year round. So we're going to talk about Black History Month today. And the question of the morning is very simple. What are your thoughts on celebrating Black History Month? What are your thoughts on celebrating Black History Month? And the question in that is, do you think a month dedicated to Black history is still necessary. But before we go into that, greetings, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome the CEO of the Bermuda Airport Authority, Lester Nelson, onto the show. So we're going to learn a bit about what the Bermuda Airport Authority does and how it benefits Bermuda. The Daily Play is a name that place, so I have no co-host, so someone's going to join. Who was this? Traveling Truddy and who else? Somebody else from earlier this week who got the questions right. So don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Again, what are your thoughts on celebrating Black History Month? And yes or no, do you think a month dedicated to Black history is still necessary? Yes or no? Do you think a month dedicated to Black history is still necessary? And I just want to go through this because this is a United States thing that Bermuda follows, right? And just to give some context, Black History Month is an annual celebration of achievements by African Americans and a time for recognizing their central role in U.S. history. Also known as African American History Month, the event grew out of Negro History Week, the brainchild of noted historian Carter G. Woodson and other prominent African Americans. Since 1976, every U.S. president has officially designated the month of February as Black History Month. Other countries around the world, including Canada and the United Kingdom, also devote a month to celebrating Black history. So here's the origins. The story of Black History Month begins in 1915, half a century after the 13th Amendment abolished slavery in the United States. That September, the Harvard-trained historian Carter G. Woodson and the prominent minister Jesse E. Moreland founded the Association for Study of Negro Life and History, an organization dedicated to researching and promoting achievements by Black Americans and other peoples of African descent. Known today as the Association for Study of African American Life and History, the group sponsored a National Negro History Week in 1926, choosing the second week of February to coincide with the birthdays of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass. The event inspired schools and communities nationwide to organize local celebrations, establish history clubs, and host performances and lectures. In the decades that followed, mayors of cities across the country began issuing yearly proclamations recognizing Negro History Week by the late 1960s, thanks in part to the Civil Rights Movement and a growing awareness of Black identity. Negro History Week had evolved into Black History Month on many college campuses. President Gerald Ford officially recognized Black History Month in 1976, calling upon the public to seize the opportunity to honor the too often neglected accomplishments of Black Americans in every area of endeavor throughout history. Today, Black History Month is a time to honor contributions and legacy of African Americans across U.S. history and society, from activists and civil rights pioneers such as Harriet Tubman, Marcus Garvey, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and Rosa Parks, to leaders in industries, politics, science, culture, and more. The theme for Black History Month 2024 is African Americans and the arts. All right. That's a lot. Mouthful. So, audience, let us know. What are your thoughts on celebrating Black History Month? Do you think a month dedicated to Black history is still necessary in 2024? Do you think this is still necessary in 2024? Celebrating Black History Month, is it something that's necessary? Can we just implement it where it is taught year-round, or do we need this month? What are your thoughts? Result of Severance says, we celebrate an American-centric Black History Month, but Bermuda Day. These are the things that irritate. See, I've never met Miss Severin, but I think maybe I steal her thoughts or we're aligned. But this is my point. I think this is the point of the entire conversation. Does not anyone in Bermuda realize that by population, Bermuda is a majority Black country, number one? As far as I remember, out of the 330 million in the US, 13% Black or African American? No, I'm not here to chastise or criticize anyone's perspective on this. What we're trying to do is have a conversation to improve education when it comes to Black history. So do you think, yes or no, do you think a month dedicated to Black history is still necessary in 2024? Kathleen Swan says, every day I celebrate my blackness. However, I do feel extra proud as of February 1st. Yes, it's necessary, JH. So Kathleen Swan says, yes, it's necessary. What do you think? Do you think a month dedicated to Black history is still necessary? Do you think a month is still necessary? Sherilyn Johnson says, yes, she thinks a month is still necessary. What are your thoughts, audience? Do you think a month is still necessary? And what are your thoughts on celebrating Black history? What are your thoughts on celebrating Black history? Do you think, because there are other groups, and I'm not going to sit here as a Black man and act like other groups are not uncomfortable. There are other groups who feel like it's 2024. I listened yesterday. Nikki Haley, presidential candidate, was on the Breakfast Club, and I listened to all 58 minutes of that conversation with Charlamagne tha God and DJ Ambi. And I mean, she literally blamed Barack Obama for divisiveness in the country. Not Donald Trump, not George Bush, not Bill Clinton, not any. She blamed Barack Obama. And I found it so interesting because I'm just like, the only thing Barack Obama, and let me be clear, you all know how I feel about Democrats and Republicans. I dislike them equally. But the only thing Barack Obama did was become the president, have dark skin, and that really woke up the birthism argument from Donald Trump. It woke up the far right. And all Black people did was defend or fight back against that. So for a presidential candidate to blame the person who literally was the target of the racism was quite interesting to me. But again, what are your thoughts on Black History Month? There are people on the far right who believe that Black History Month is divisive. Why are we celebrating Black history? But the old argument, there's BET, Black Entertainment Television. Well, if we had WET, White Entertainment Television, you all would say it's racist. Are these arguments valid? This is not how I feel, by the way. This is what is happening. This is what's said. Can we just make Black history a part of all history? Would that be helpful? Is Black History Month and the teaching of Black history divisive? Do you think a month dedicated to Black history is still necessary? Tanya Cheeseman says yes. All right. So, audience, it seems like most people who have answered say yes. Are there any no's? Does anyone feel like a month dedicated to Black history is not necessary at this point? Traveling Trotty says, I would like to see the same energy for Black History Month for Bermuda Heritage Month. I see. I think Traveling Trotty's got me covered. She's got me covered. I would just like to see some individuality. Maya speaks about it often. I know Amber, who does our social media, she's a creative as well. And I think when we pretty much piggyback off of everything that the United States does, it almost comes across like we lack creativity as a collective. Why do we have to latch on to their Black History Month? Why can't we, May is Heritage Month, right? In Bermuda, if I'm not mistaken. Why can't we create a Bermuda History Month around us and our accomplishments? It was only last year where I learned that a friend of mine, her mother, former opposition leader Jean Atherton, was the first Black woman to become a CPA in Bermuda. These are things that we should know. I'm not at any point I'm trying to denounce or discredit African American history. What I'm trying to say is that we have our own history that we need to celebrate. So even if that 1 month is May Heritage Month, I think we could do better. Maya did something last week or the week before. I was having a conversation on this show with Debbie Jones Hunter. And Maya came back into the studio and she shared this picture of Mrs. Hunter and her team. It was a Nike picture, right? And then Maya went upon herself and took the clip and put it on Instagram. And that clip is probably the clip of 2024 so far. Why is it the clip of 2024 so far? Because of the amount of people, not because of the amount of likes it got. We could care less about likes. But because what Maya did in that moment was took a piece of information that nobody knew and educated them. Guess what? It wasn't Black History Month. It was just another day on the Daily Hour. If anyone, you've never realized this show is about community, and that means everyone in our community. But we're not tone deaf to the impact of Bermuda's most vulnerable, which are usually Black people. That's why, if you notice, from the quotes to the information, a lot of it is specific to ensure that we play a role in helping our community have no excuses for not knowing their history. I hope that helps. All right. So what are your thoughts on celebrating Black History Month? That's the question of the morning. Renee Simmons says, yes, she agrees with still having a month dedicated to Black history. Suzanne Ingham says, I agree with Traveling Trotty. Bermuda history is more vital. We should know about world history too, but for me, it's more vital to know all Bermuda's history. Well, I would disagree with you, Suzanne. And I don't think that's what, Traveling Trotty was saying. I don't think she did not say Bermuda history. She did say Black History Month for Bermuda should be Bermuda Heritage Month. We've been whitewashed with Bermuda history since the beginning of time, which is why we had very little knowledge of Black history when it came to Bermuda. So I do think because Bermudians have been disenfranchised and oppressed in Bermuda, that we need a focus on Black history, not Bermuda history. There is a difference. This is how we learned about the Sally Bassets. This is how we learned about the Roosevelt Browns, Dr. Camerfago. So no, there needs to be a specific focus on Black history in Bermuda. Let's not act like it's all equal and it all has been. It hasn't. Let's bring Maya Palacio in for the Daily Hour news break. I haven't checked Instagram. Just got to check over on the gram because you all don't show up on the screen. Okay, no one's got any comments over there yet. We're going to bring Maya in early for the Daily Hour news break. So I know she has a lot to get through as it relates to the news break. But again, we have Lester Nelson from the Bermuda Airport Authority coming up. Really looking forward to this conversation so we can better as a community understand what they do and how we benefit, how we can benefit. Tanya Cheeseman says, coming from an age where Bermuda history was not taught in school, I agree it would be great to learn about our own Black individuals in our community. Mary Prince comes to mind. Think about that. I didn't know about Mary Prince until I was an adult. So yes, Black history, Black Bermudian history is necessary. Rosalda Severin says, I was a principal in America. We didn't celebrate Black History Month. Black parents complained. I redirected them to the curriculum that had Black history integrated throughout. And that's what we do with this show. It's very subtle. One day, one of my co-hosts asked something about why I'm not a fan of Black History Month. And I showed her the last few months of things that I have done. And she was like, oh, wow. Because it's very subtle, but it's included. It's included. Sometimes when you feel like there's no Black history, you have to create it and become it in the present. Manuela John says, my memory is not that sharp, but I attended the Central School in the 60s and we learned a lot of Bermuda history. Not all of it was pleasing. Oh, history won't be pleasing. Nachika Trot says, each spring semester at Bermuda College, a prominent Bermudian scientist is highlighted. Anthony Pete says, reading research on Black History Month, one can see the varied reasons shared. Narratives are intentionally promulgated Our future generations benefit with awareness and knowledge. The month I have no problem if it's the lifelong impacts. What truly are we seeing the impacts are? I do have a problem with it, and I actually spoke about. I don't know if you just tuned in, Dr. Pete, Mr. Pete, sorry, but we spoke about the start, the beginnings and the origins of Black History Month in the United States. At the end of the day, it's up to Black people to take it upon themselves. And I agree with what I believe it's Dr. Severin said. It needs to be integrated throughout so that there's no need for 1 month. Let's bring Maya Palacio in for your Daily Hour news break. And again, don't forget, we've got Lester Nelson coming up after that.
Good morning. Good morning.
Greetings, MP. I didn't offend anyone this morning, did I?
Oh, that's for them to decide, Jamal.
Well, I didn't offend you, did I?
No,
Okay.
I'm not offended over here.
Okay. So what are your thoughts? You probably differ with me on this. Well, most things.
Okay, I'll give my Palacio's opinion is I feel like Black History Month seems to be more necessary now than back then. And this is just me saying it because I feel there's so much that can be shared now online, false things, different narratives, anything like that. And so to have it kind of makes us reiterate the fact that no, this needs to be actually educated and taught on, and that what they said was wrong. And, a lot of history obviously is always taught by the victor, right? That's what we continuously always say.
Yep.
So we need to have those voices who might just be a little bit louder during this month. It would be nice to have it loud all the time. But I feel like it also gives people a bit of a nudge to go a little harder with their own education and their own words to actually educate people. So I do feel like it's necessary in that sense that we still need the education, probably more now than we did back then.
I didn't consider what you said. And that's a very important thing that Maya just said. There's so much misinformation online these days that it's actually probably more necessary to ensure that people are receiving the truth, right? And another thing she said is history really is always taught by the victor, right? That's where it comes from. This is why it's, people mention Bermuda history and world history. Nah, bruh. That's a version of history. That's a version of history.
I'm still shocked by the things I learned about Bermuda, every other day sometimes. It's just interesting reading things or reading books from different Bermudian authors. I still get shocked about, and Rashida Godwin can confirm in the comments as well, but about just how Bermuda Day even got started and how that even happened. I was just I look at it so different now whenever Bermuda Day comes. I'm just oh, that's why we have a Bermuda Day? So
Empire Day, Victoria Day, it was named, but it was created out of the Pitt Report. And I've said it on the show before. If you want to learn about Bermuda history, read the Pitt Report. And folks, if you need it, I will send it to you. Give yourself a weekend and read the Pitt Report if you want to understand Bermuda history. That will give you insight, a lot of insight into Bermuda history. If you want to talk about Bermuda history, it is Black history. But yes, thank you for saying that, Maya. Again, I'm not a fan of a month dedicated. I'm a fan, as Sancha just said right here, Black history should be implemented throughout the year, but is it? That's on us. And that's why I take a great responsibility in doing this show and having the conversations with the people that we do to ensure that, again, just using what you did with Debbie Jones Hunter, that is Black history. Believe it or not, it is.
That's Black history, Bermuda history, U.S. history, track history. I was that's a lot. Nike history. And it all goes down to, even though it's not implemented, some of them not really in the education system or in the curriculum, teachers can still go out of their way and do it themselves. I know my mother does all the time in her art classes, brings up African history, Bermuda Black history in any space she can. So big ups to the teachers that are doing that without needing to be put in the curriculum.
Can I just say this before you get in the news break? And I want to be very clear with this, just so people know where I stand and why I stand here. As far as it relates to Black History Month, I think Black History Month is the oppressor's greatest tool, the greatest tool to act as if they aren't who they are. Pick the bones out of that. All right, Maya, what you got in the Daily Hour news break?
Well, good morning, everyone. This is your Daily Hour news break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Starting out the news this morning, as I mentioned earlier, Kalai Smith was sentenced to 11 years for child porn. In the Gazette, it read that in the first Black male case in Bermuda to involve child sexual abuse, 30-year-old Kalai Smith, who blackmailed 2 teenage girls into producing and sending him child pornography, has been jailed for 11 years. The article goes into more detail on the case, but a brief summary is that he anonymously threatened the 2 young girls and appeared to them online as a hacker, claiming that he did recover images of them off their phone, and if they didn't send him more, then he would leak what he had. And they were both under 16 years old at the time. And you can read the full story on the Gazette.
You know, that's so disgusting. And I think what really annoyed me about that story is the individual has not taken responsibility for his actions.
No.
So you guys know I live in South Florida. Florida is an extreme state. Let's just call it what it is. It's an extreme state. Florida's legislator, I believe earlier this week, passed a law to ban 16 and under from using social media. And I was like, oh, they're just so extreme. Why are they doing it? And then I read that story and I'm just like, you know what? Maybe it's to protect children from people like that guy. I don't know. What are your thoughts, audience, on that? While Maya continues her news, should we create a law where children have to be of a certain age? I mean, and it's going to be hard to do in Florida because how do you monitor that? That's the hard part. To monitor it, that's the arguments. But what are your thoughts? Should there be an age limit? Go ahead.
I just want to counter that by saying take social media away from these predators. Like away from that. If they can somehow take it away from children 16 years or under, I don't know how they can monitor that at all.
Mm-hmm.
But you already know everyone who's been like arrested or imprisoned for the things that they do. Mm-hmm. Take it away from them. Monitor them. Make sure they're never on it again.
I agree.
The people who are actually doing the disgusting acts.
I agree. What are your thoughts, audience? While Maya continues, just share your thoughts with us.
In other news, 2 persons were injured in a 2-vehicle collision as well. This one occurred around 1:25 p.m. on Wednesday, the 31st, so yesterday. A report 2-vehicle collision occurred at the junction of Crow Lane and Sperling Hill in Pembroke. Police and the Bermuda Fire and Rescue Services, as well as ambulance and personnel, did respond, and details remain limited at the time. However, it was a 50cc scooter and a motorcycle that were involved, and again, both were injured. One of the riders is believed to have been more seriously hurt than the other. However, medical updates on both injured individuals are anticipated in due course. Motorists experienced a lot of traffic delays when the accident did occur, but anyone who has witnessed anything, please contact 211.
Sorry to see another collision, and wishing the individual speedy recovery.
Yes, indeed. In other news, this one's for anyone who might have a concession stand, but it looks like there's been a request from the government for commercial activity within parklands in 2024. So the Department of Parks is seeking proposals from suitable concessionaires to provide beach or park concession services at 5 public parklands for the summer season of 2024. So that's between April 1st to November 30th. There's the locations there. You can see it on the screen, but just to list out the 5, it's Parsons Road Park, Great Head Park, Mangrove Bay, Benhurst Park, and Ferry Point Park. So proposals may be submitted for one or more of the above listed locations, with the understanding that only one location will be awarded per concession. So if anyone is interested and wants to apply, you could get an application on the ground floor of the Global House, or you can go to www.gov.bm/department/parks.
Maybe I should apply to open up my hot dog stand.
It's quite interesting. I remember there was a story with the Bermudian about when he was trying to set up his concession stand. I believe it was in Warwick. So I'm going to follow up more on that and actually see what he has to say about it, because that's an interesting story that now they're trying to get that. Because that was something that a lot of taxi drivers was even telling me about. There's nothing at most beaches for tourists. So I'll keep following up on that. But meanwhile, apparently, if you didn't know, Bermuda needs more bartenders. So this is coming from, according to the Chamber of Commerce press release, the bartender category has been a closed immigration category for several years, and there's currently a significant shortage of skilled bartenders for restaurants and hotels. While following the Chamber of Commerce's discussion with the Minister Jason Hayward, a stakeholder group was formed to understand the deficiency and formulate a strategic plan. So they made a plan that defines bartending categories. As you can see, that's the list there of what each and every category of a bartender is, from the highest ranking to the lowest ranking. And now they have also put out these sets of different classes that they're going to have to kind of show and teach and see where people are on the scale for restaurant, bars, and hotels, and also for current and aspiring bartenders as well. So for those who are interested in going to that, you could actually just email them at info@bcc.bm.
You know, I have so much respect for bartenders and waiters, waitresses, because I grew up as a very clumsy individual, and when I see them just doing different things, I'm just like, this is a special talent. In my opinion, they don't get paid enough. But hopefully, Bermuda has those kind of talented people available where we can fill the jobs in need.
Yes. And they did mention, the Bacardi program as well, that we do know about, the cohort that allows people to, get their license, and they actually pay for them to travel and get schooling for it as well. So to hear that we still need more is quite interesting. But they did mention them, figures that
Shaking,
they might be working with them.
shaking, it's called, right?
Yes, Shake Your Future program. So that's something to look into, whoever wants to be a bartender. In your sports-related news, according to Bermuda Track News, a total of 6 athletes have met the CWIFTA standard so far for the Bermuda team, which is really impressive because it's only in January. And again, the CWIFTA Games isn't until like March and April. But also, the Bermuda National Athletic Association said they are working with the Bermuda Air to arrange a charter flight to Grenada for the CWIFTA Games. So the spokesperson from BNAA said that Bermuda National Athletic Association will support of the Bermuda Air is in process of arranging a charter flight to there. Approximately 40 seats are available for sale to family members, friends, and community members. And interested persons can email them at athleticsbda@gmail.com to see what the final cost will be and everything to go to the games.
All right, good stuff. Love to see it.
Yeah. And closing out some more on our sports, Janai Parent Chief actually opened his 2024 season placing second at the Razorback Invitationals with a jump of 16.51 meters in the men's triple jump. So here's a quick video actually of his jump that you guys get to see. Quite impressive.
Yeah, I think I pulled a hamstring watching that, Maya.
Janai Pajic has been doing this for quite a number of years, and he's also one of Bermuda's hopefuls. We hope for the Olympics this year as well. So fingers crossed on his achievements in the athletic world.
Indeed, Maya, indeed. Love to see it.
Definitely. And in closing out your news this morning, I actually got to speak to Alicia Ace West. Now, Alicia Ace West is actually a host out here in Toronto, but she started this new podcast, which might be quite interesting for those who are watching who may be mothers, especially if you're a Black mother, woman of color who's a mother, or Black father, who might feel like the world of parenthood is a little bit daunting and people don't talk about it or be quite honest about it enough as a Black parent navigating this world. So here's a quick clip of my interview with her, and the full thing will be out later this month.
I don't have the best takes on motherhood right now. And I say that motherhood has caused a lot for me. I love my daughter, but everything that has happened to me is because of motherhood. And so I want people to have a safe space to tell their truth and talk about it and just relate. And it's specifically for Black moms, dads, parents, and other women of color to be able to share their stories in a safe place.
Alongside deliveries, stories, postpartum, weight gain, IVF, and more from other parents, she'll also be interviewing midwives, doctors, and experts about advice that they can share. And even though Wait, I'm a Mom is drawing from her own personal experience, yes, there are fathers on the podcast too.
It's amazing that the universe has put me in this position. Yeah, and I'm scared.
Man, that was heartbreaking. Just that little clip of her. Man, the things women go through, that was really tough just now. If anyone took that on, yeah, interesting.
It was. I got to actually be there at a couple of her interviews with persons, and it's some really real conversations. And I'm quite impressed. Obviously, I'm not a parent, but as someone who has nieces, and I was just like, oh man. It's real and it's happening, and I'm glad that she's talking about it and getting people to actually be honest about the conversations, because a lot of things we spoke about was honestly, Jamal, do you even recall talking to your parents about their own parenthood experience raising you? What was it like?
I don't think I wasn't. Yeah, no, Maya.
Exactly. So yeah, it just had me think about that too. I want to ask my mom, what was it like raising 3 girls all by yourself? Really makes you think. Anyway, closing out with the weather today, everyone. So it's looking very cloudy, steady rains, heavy at times, showery in the afternoon. So bad, and possibly worse. A lot of gusts of strong winds too, and we have a high of 65. So it's not really looking that great today when it terms of weather. So just be mindful when you're on the roads.
Yeah. I rain used to be such a bad thing to me, an inconvenience. But man, I appreciate nature. Take it as a sign, folks, whatever that sign may be. Let's see, what day of the year is it? Maya, you know what it is? It's Optimist Day.
Oh.
Optimist Day. Look on the bright side. Life may have its ups and downs, but optimism keeps the sun shining and everything else may be overcast. Look at that. It's rainy, Maya said.
Uh-huh.
So let's be a bit optimistic. So how do we celebrate today, Maya? Well, this is what they tell us. Optimist Day is the perfect opportunity to spend the day paying the kindness forward. You don't have to pay people off. You don't have to pay off people's parking tickets. Why not do something good for someone you love? It might be making dinner for your friends, family, or volunteering your time to the local animal charity. Animal charity, think about that. Or homeless shelter. So, folks, I'll say this much. When I think of being optimistic, I say to you all the time, as much as we may dislike our politics and our government, Bermuda's still our home, and we all have a role to play in how our island does. So the optimism I have is on our community, in our community. It's on all of us. I believe better days are ahead. What are you optimistic about, Maya?
I'm optimistic about my generation and the next generation to come.
Good one. Audience, let us know, what are you optimistic about? I'd like to say St. George's this year in cup match, but I'm gonna give my new president a chance. All right. So I'm not gonna do that yet. But in a couple months, I may be more optimistic about our chances of taking the cup back down the east. How's that? Maya don't want to give me no.
Yay.
Okay. Why is she like this? All right, folks. Maya, thank you so much. We've got Lester Nelson, the CEO of the Bermuda Airport Authority, coming up. Maya, we'll see you soon.
See you soon.
All righty. She is hilarious. Folks, don't go anywhere. We're coming back with our guest for the day, Mr. Lester Nelson, the CEO of the Bermuda Airport Authority. Get your questions and your comments ready. And let us know, what are you optimistic about? You've got to be optimistic about something, right? I hope.
People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHB staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW, we're here for you.
Take a look at our workwear for construction workers and tradesmen. Durable, stretchable in all the right places and plenty of options for tools and accessories. Paired with our wide range of tough and comfortable footwear, you can't go wrong. As you can see, Medical House really is a one-stop shop for everybody. We can't wait to see you.
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
All right, welcome back to the big show. I'm Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour, brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. Please do not forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. We have a birthday shout out today. So if you've ever won a prize on this show and someone's had to get it to you, or you've had to communicate, you'd probably been in touch with Keitha. So Keitha is one of the owners of Bermuda Communications Group, and that's the parent company of this show, The Daily Hour. So we want to wish Keitha a very happy birthday and give her, Well, apparently, speaking of motherhood, Keitha's daughter turned 1 last week, and Keitha because she's so into mommyhood, she actually forgot it was her birthday today when she woke up. So we want to remind her. So please give her some birthday greetings and love. Let her know happy birthday to Keitha. And we did get someone else who said on Instagram, said, I'm optimistic about St. George's taking the cup. Let's go there. So someone's aligned with me. Hadleen Swan says, I'm optimistic about my weight and exercise, and congratulations to you. All right, without further ado, let's give a warm TDH welcome to our guest for the day. We have Mr. Lester Nelson from the Bermuda Airport Authority. All right. Calm down. How are you, sir? Good morning.
Good morning to you, Jamel. Thanks for having me here today.
Thanks for coming. We are a bit late, so hopefully we, if we go over time, you can grant us a few extra minutes. But thank you for joining us. It's early for some people, but thank you. How are you?
I'm good, and happy Black History Month, by the way.
Oh, well, happy Black History Month to you too. Are you? By the way, are you the first CEO of the Bermuda Airport Authority?
Yes, I am. It'll be my 7th anniversary in early March 6th, which is the same month that the Airport Authority was formed. It was formed in March of 2017, so I was the first employee.
All right, so there you have some Black history right there, folks. There you go. But for those who don't know, tell us a bit about your background and what it is that you do.
Okay, very quickly on my background, I developed an interest in aviation, mostly an interest in being a pilot when I was about 10 years old. I did become a pilot when I was 20. And my whole interest in aviation has grown into a passion that's sustained me all these years, all these decades, into what I do today as working at the Airport Authority. Now, in terms of the organization, as I mentioned earlier, it was formed in 2017, and it's a statutory corporation, or a quango, as some people are familiar with. And the Airport Authority is responsible for everything that happens at the LF Wade International Airport, from the ownership. So we own all of the airport lands, all of the operations, the financing. The one thing that we are not responsible for is the regulation. Okay, so the regulation of aviation falls under the remit of the Bermuda Civil Aviation Authority. Okay, so
just not to get ahead, but what is the specific role of the Bermuda Airport Authority? Because if someone would go on the website, it's like so many different things.
Right. Okay, so I certainly teed it up at the high level, right? So again, in 2017, the Airport Authority entered into a 30-year concession agreement with Skyport. So that's the company that a lot of folks have heard about. So that's an agreement where Skyport operates most of the visible airport, the terminal that we see in the runways and the taxiways. And under that agreement, Skyport and their partners designed, the airport terminal building. They built it. They financed it, and they operated for another 23 years, and they're responsible for the maintenance. Now, the terminal cost about $400 million all in, and it's won several awards over the last 3 years or so since it's opened, and the feedback we've received from the public, local travelers and tourists has been very, very favorable. Now, the Airport Authority, we have retained several functions and operations at the airport, right? So that's our day job and what we do. And the most visible of those activities is Bermuda Weather Service. So all of the weather forecasters, meteorologists, and weather observers are employees of the Airport Authority, right? So everyone, I'm sure today is one of those days that people are going onto the site and wondering, when is this going to ease up? Very proud to have them as team members. The other other employees who we have, who the public don't see directly, are air traffic controllers. So every airplane that lands and takes off in Bermuda gets a good morning and have a good day from our 7 air traffic controllers. We have engineers who maintain the technology of the weather radar, the weather radar, the aircraft radar, the instrument landing system. There are other systems that we maintain as well. So we have a team of 6 who do that. And then, of course, we have a whole infrastructure support team, that support the facilities and lands and so forth. We have HR team, we have a finance team, and we also have a small team of 2 who oversee the contract, which I have right here. It's a very large contract that we have with Skyport, and they are our contract experts because we have to ensure that Skyport is running the airport in accordance with all of the contractual obligations.
Interesting, because would you say that the Bermuda Airport Authority is an overseer of Skyport?
Yeah. We have, and it's written in our law. Our law is to ensure Skyport fulfills their obligations, right? So we have a contract. So we have a commercial. I showed you the contract. We have a commercial relationship with them, and any relationship you have like that, the parties have to ensure that their rights are honored, and we have to make sure that they are fulfilling their obligations. And I will say that 7 years in, they've been a responsible partner.
All righty. Audience, if you have any questions or comments for Mr. Nelson, please send them through. I will do my best to get through all of them before the end of the conversation. So in understanding the differences between the Airport Authority and Skyport, some would say, well, why is one or the other necessary? Why couldn't they be one?
Well, there was a big debate about that back in 2016. Okay, there was a lot of public tension and political tension as to whether this deal, as it was called at the time, this agreement should even go through. Because prior to 2017, the government, through the Department of Airport Operations, was the one entity, to speak to what you said, that did everything that Skyport and the Airport Authority does today, right? So why did we go from 1 to 2? And it was argued that it was for financial reasons, right? So in order to get access to that $400 million or so, you needed access to foreign capital and financing. So Skyport's lenders are foreign insurance companies. And there was also a package, a financial arrangement with the Canadian Commercial Corporation. So it was mostly a financial arrangement to deliver the new terminal building. Obviously, because it's so expensive, it needs to be repaid over a 30-year period.
All righty. And, you kind of explained the differences between Skyport and the Airport Authority. But I remember when I was looking on the website and just trying to understand a bit more, I was looking for some people I knew. I'm like, doesn't he work here? But they worked at Civil Aviation. What did they do differently than what the Bermuda Airport Authority does?
Right. So they are the regulator. All right. So they are our BMA, so to speak. Right. So the business, the air traffic control and the weather and a lot of safety activities are all regulated under international aviation regulations, and the local entity that ensures that there's compliance with these regulations is the Civil Aviation Authority. The other thing that they do is they maintain and manage Bermuda's aircraft register. All right, you will recall there were a whole bunch of Russian airplanes on that register, which are no longer on the register, so they're looking to rebuild. And of course, there's been a lot of recent local activity with Bermuda Air. Of course, those aircraft are on the Bermuda register, and even Blue Sky Flight's Cessna 172 is also a Bermuda registered aircraft.
Gotcha. We do have some questions from the audience, and we'll get through as many as possible. I see you on Instagram as well. We've got good morning, Lester from Tanya Cheeseman.
Hi, Tanya. I remember I used to work with Tanya.
Oh, there you go. See,
Right.
Traveling Charlie's asking, as you can tell by the name, she travels a lot. She says, when will the airport have a dedicated line in the security area for business and first class passengers? Is that something that falls under the Bermuda Airport Authority, or would that be Skyport?
It is Skyport, but we are aware, like I said, there's a very close collaboration. It's something that's being looked at. And I will tell you the reason why it has not happened yet is that there's a central screening now. So that's a plus, right? You remember in the old terminal building, if you were going to anywhere but the United States, you would enter the security around by where the restaurant was, Trattoria. If you go to the States, you had a different security lane. Now we have one security screening area, so that's good from an efficiency point of view. The issue is that there are three different security regulations. There's the United States TSA regulations. There's the UK CAA security regulations, and there's the Transport Canada regulations. So we're using kind of the highest standards, and one of the organizations, and I won't say which one, doesn't favor that type of separate line for like business and so forth. So we're close, right? But it's, we certainly have to tick the regulatory box first in terms of being able to have kind of like a fast track.
Alrighty.
But it is being looked at, just so you know.
And I think this question's kind of similar.
Right.
Charles Jeffers II, he says, who do we need to talk
Hi, Charles.
about getting a TSA pre-check line at LF Wade? I've been told Bermuda has been approved for such a line. If we're a business destination, we need to offer such amenities. Yeah, very similar question.
Yeah, and that's the same thing. If Charles would have heard what I just said, right? It's being looked at. I will say though that there is a way to get to the front of the line, and I would ask you to contact Skyport. Skyport does have a special service. It is a very high level VIP kind of service, right? Where they'll meet you. It's a concierge type service, right? Their Skyport people will meet you at the curbside. All right, and then they'll escort you through quick lanes, and you get access to the lounge. And if you're coming in, they'll meet you coming in, right? But you have to contact Skyport for that. It's a paid, service that you have to pay for, and yeah.
Okay. How can people learn more about the Bermuda Airport Authority and what it does? Again, you just mentioned the weather. Many people going on the website. Some people think airport, they're not thinking things like that. When you broke down the amount of people like traffic controllers and, those kind of things. I mean, we don't grow up in Bermuda necessarily wanting to get into those spaces to have an understanding. All we know is that we want to get on airplanes and travel, right? But just, explain where they can get information and the kinds of information they can retrieve.
Right. Well, they can go to our website, of course, and which is the Bermuda Airport Authority. Frankly, you can go to Skyport's website and reach out to them because they have career paths there as well. And certainly, especially if you're interested in being a pilot or an aircraft engineer, you want to reach out to the Civil Aviation Authority. Matter of fact, there was a job, it's a very senior position that was advertised yesterday for a flight operations inspector. All right. Now, obviously, there's a path to get to that level. But certainly there, we have a small industry here. Matter of fact, it's much larger than when I was 20 years old, right? There were very, very few jobs, in finishing school to come to come back home to enter the industry in. Whereas now, if you're interested in aviation, there are many opportunities, whether it's through our organization. We will be hiring in all of our areas this year. We will be hiring meteorologists and entry-level weather observers. Essentially, just for the weather observer, we look for high school candidates, high school graduates, obviously with a strong background. For the weather meteorologist, you require a science degree. Air traffic controllers, again, high school is the minimum. Air traffic engineering. So we will be hiring throughout 2024. And that's largely to fill some vacancies, number one, and it's for our succession planning. So our organization, the employees, half of us are over 50, right? So, some folks decide that they want to enter early retirement around 60 or so. So there's a lead time to hire and to train people for the specialist skills. So that's why we're doing the hiring this year, so that we're not, behind the curve in terms of succession.
Got you. I know on your website, it did say something about the fire and rescue is
right.
The Airport Authority as well.
Yes, right. So the provision of airport fire services is our legal responsibility, but we've actually contracted it out to Bermuda Fire and Rescue Service because they do it, but they're actually doing it for us under contract.
Interesting things you just don't know. And so, you just mentioned some of the jobs and so on, and a bunch of people over 50. We did have a question come through, but I think you answered it on Instagram about internships for her son. Someone was asking about internships, just getting
right. Okay, well, it depends on if you're if the person is a graduate is a high school graduate, right? We have a pathway for high school graduates. If they're a college graduate, we have pathways. If you're still in school, we this year we will be restarting limited summer internships or such, which lasts a few weeks. All right, so we will be doing that. I believe the age is probably at least maybe around 14. I think we prefer to have students who will be graduating, I guess in 3 to 4 years or so.
Alrighty. And final question. So I remember, what was it like last month? Was it last month or in December? There was a fire at the airport, and I think it was December. And a lot of people were shocked, like no planes were canceled and things just seemed to keep going.
You mean the fire over at the dump?
At the dump, at the dump.
Yeah.
How was the airport able to keep going during that time? That spoke to really good functioning airport, right?
Well, we have to always operate within safety limits, right? So that was, that risk was always known, right? With having the dump next door. It's not on airport land, by the way. It's on government land. And the wind, when that fire started, the wind actually was blowing the smoke across the approach path, right? And we had one aircraft that landed. The pilot did report it that the visibility was quite poor. So frankly, it was touch and go as to whether the flights would have been diverted that night because of the smoke obscuring the approach path. So the fire lasted, frankly, about two or 3 days. So we were fortunate that the next day the wind shifted, right, from out of the north. So it was blowing the smoke over Castle Harbor away from the approach path.
Got it. All right. Yeah, I know we had questions on this show at the time, like how's the airport still open? So that's good to know. Yeah. And that the dump is government property, so it's not in any way.
No. I guarantee you, if it was on airport property, it wouldn't be there. But that's another story in itself.
All righty. This has been a great opening conversation, and I hope that the audience has a better idea and understanding of what the Bermuda Airport Authority does, how it differs from Skyport and the civil aviation. Anything else you'd like to tell the folks before you head out?
No, I guess everything is on our website, of course, our latest annual report, of course, which is for fiscal 22 is on our website. Okay. Tells you about our expenditure and so forth. I mentioned earlier, we have about 44 approved positions right now. We'll be scaling up to about 50 or so over the next 18 months. I know there's one important thing that I didn't mention is our role in air service development. And in fact, I have a meeting with the minister at 11 o'clock, Minister of Transport. So that's another thing that we do at the Airport Authority, and I take the lead on this, is that we support the Minister of Transport and his initiatives to form strong strategic partnerships with our current airline partners and even new airlines such as Breeze Airways that we would hope that they can start flying here in a couple of years, and maybe Southwest. Obviously, Bermuda Air is certainly growing, as we know. Filling the gap in a lot of these different areas in terms of Baltimore, especially. We have a very active role in air service development, coordination with the Minister of Transport and with Skyport and with the Tourism Authority.
That is good to know. That is very good to know. Because I think I was asking about Breeze Airlines when they first started flying to Palm Beach a couple of years ago. That was a good one. One last question from the audience. Charles H. Jefferson II is asking, who owns, operates the old airport? Is it government or Skyport?
The Airport Authority owns everything on the airport lands, all the land, all the buildings, right? So we own the old airport. Skyport is operating it. It is in the process right now of being decommissioned. Okay. And frankly, we want everybody out. And the reason is we pay the electricity and we're just going to turn the light switch off, right? And that's another long story. Ideally, that old terminal building would have been demolished by now, right? Or at least there would be a plan to demolish that building or repurpose it. So if someone had come along to say, hey, yeah, we would like to use it, then they would take on the full responsibility. But since, that hasn't been the case, it's an expense for the airport authority, something we don't like. So it's being decommissioned just to a minimum sort of, footprint from an energy point of view. And at some point in the future, it will either be repurposed, right, brought back to life, or it will be demolished.
I'd say this before you go. I was just at an airport hotel in Florida yesterday, and I have always, from my time working for Bermuda Tourism, wanted to see an airport-like hotel. I know we have Grotto Bay right across,
right.
But I just thought some sort of, on the lower tier where it's not expensive, but a lower tiered hotel would have been my goal. So I don't know if you guys have anything to do with something like that.
That's there are several business opportunities, hotels, an expansion of the restaurant, the landside restaurant that's there. Because if you go there, there's that water feature on the outside. There's been talk about expanding that. Like I said, hotels, rental car services. A lot of that's been discussed, but one has to consider the current market, right? One has to consider Grotto Bay, which is close by, right? It's not far. One has considered the other rental car companies that are on the airport, unless the operator will be one of the existing rental car companies. And then it's the taxi drivers. Right. They are the taxi drivers. That's a very powerful lobby group. And the same thing with restaurants, right? So we have to tread very carefully, right, in terms of what businesses sort of operate on the airport because of the I guess impact on the broader business environment.
Indeed. Understood. Honestly, I just like the fact we can brainstorm, have these ideas and conversations, and who knows, 10 years from now, it might be a whole different idea and something that really pushes us forward. But Mr. Nelson, it's been a pleasure. I've learned a lot this morning, and that's why this show exists for our community, so that we can, have some facts with our opinions as we speak. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and all the best in your meeting today.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Jamal. Have a good day.
You too. All right. Lester Nelson from the Bermuda Airport Authority. Folks, if you appreciated the conversation, found it helpful, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share that conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Folks, there was some information discussed. I don't know about you, but I did learn some things this morning, and I really do hope that you did as well. Sometimes you can read things on a website, do a little bit of research, but it's nothing like being able to engage with the person who's in charge, who can actually give you a bit more than what you'll be able to find on your own. We're going to take one final break and come back after this. Someone's going to be eligible for a prize tomorrow if they get the answer correctly.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
All righty, folks, welcome back to the big show. Thanks again to Mr. Lester Nelson from the Bermuda Airport Authority. Again, if you appreciated that conversation this morning and this morning's discussion, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure that you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Thanks again to the BAC Group of Companies, Medicals, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we can have these conversations with you on a daily basis. It's time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. All right, audience, here is your question of the morning. First answer that shows up on my screen first will be eligible for tomorrow's prize. Very easy question, I think. What is the capital of New Zealand? Oh, wow. We've got Traveling. Silas Lynch showed up for us. Auckland, nope. Traveling Trotty, Auckland, no. Marquita Lee, Auckland, no. Larry Marshall, Auckland, no. NTS, congratulations. You showed up first with the correct answer. Wellington. It is Wellington. I thought everyone would get tricked and think it was Auckland, but no, it is Wellington, folks. And NTS, you will be eligible tomorrow in the draw with Traveling Trotty. And who else won this week? Who else? I'll have to go back and watch the tape. But I believe it was Traveling Trotty and I can't remember. I'll have to go back. Congratulations to you, NTS. And folks, again, if you haven't already, make sure you give us a thumbs up, a love, a like on today's show. But it is time for your daily inspiration. And the daily inspiration for the day is, well, I got to wrap it up first, don't I? Let me wrap it up before we do daily inspiration. But on today's episode, look, I think that Black history is an important component to our education, not just as children, but as adults in an entire community. I think Black history, I appreciate what many businesses and organizations are doing in ensuring that Black history is relevant year round. And when I say businesses, I'm speaking about businesses who specifically target and focus on that. So my hope is that it's used in a way, it's genuine, and it's used in a way to help our community, not cover up who some people truly are. I believe that we need, it does help. You know, I think Rashida Godwin said it years ago. If we knew more about our history, we'd be less angry at each other. And I'm a believer in that. As far as the conversation with Mr. Nelson, I learned a lot. I did not know about the airport authority outside of what I had looked at online. I think they play a major role, a key role in Bermuda's airport operations. I appreciate what Skyport does, keeps our airport looking good and the operating and running of it. They do amazing work. Skyport has taken to the community the singing competition. They got behind the young people with the running, the Skyport Mile. So I think these organizations are playing a key role in what we do in Bermuda. And it's important for us to know what they do and have that community connection with them. Daily inspiration. Here we go. Either you run the day or the day runs you. Jim Rohn. That's your daily inspiration. Don't let the day run you, folks. Don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medicals, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy, for ensuring that we can do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. I'm Jamal Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We are is out. Peace.